Up with KREM begins now.
Happy Friday to you. Thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham. We also want to welcome you in if you're streaming us on KREM 2+. We have a lot of headlines to get to this morning, but first we're starting with weather because if you look outside right now, you might be seeing rain, you might be seeing snow, or maybe both. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick here to break it down. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. And that is my job to figure that out, to see what areas we're getting more snow versus more rain. I'll tell you what, from the reports I'm gathering across Spokane County, we're transitioning more onto the rain side of this event pretty quickly for this morning because we had a rain-snow mix at around 4 a.m. Since then, it's actually warmed by about a degree or two already this morning. And as we look at Doppler radar currently, there is a lot more green, especially along the metro area from Spokane to Spokane Valley and even Airway Heights. The official observation at the airport, 36 and rain. It's not even a mix at the moment. So I do think our northern areas will still end up with the most snow overall today, with winter weather advisories issued mostly throughout the inland northwest and a few winter storm warnings for far north Idaho.
Let's take you live outside now to I-90 and Freya to look at the road conditions right now. This area looking like just some wet road conditions at this hour. We're not seeing any major accumulations on I-90, which of course is good news in terms of the morning commute. So we'll keep a close eye and let you know if there's any traffic problems on your morning commute. We check in on weather and traffic together every 30 minutes. This morning, continued dive recovery efforts in the Potomac River. Rescue teams looking for the victims of Wednesday night's Midair collision between an American Airlines jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter. Today, investigators are also combing through the site collecting evidence. The NTSB says it's analyzing the plane's two black boxes, vital pieces in their search for answers.
We want to make sure we get it right. We take our time. We involve a lot of people, a lot of parties. That's the best way to make sure that we don't let tragedies like this happen again.
At the time of the crash, both aircrafts were flying at about 400 feet. To put this into perspective, the Space Needle in Seattle is just over 600 feet tall. Military helicopters are supposed to stay below 200 feet. The clock tower, by the way, in Spokane is 155 feet. This morning, we also found out sources told CBS News only one air traffic control worker was managing the helicopters and planes, which is typically the job for two people.
We're still in a recovery mode, first and foremost, to get the perishable evidence and specifically the bodies out. Once we get a little bit closer into that, we'll be able to better understand the dynamics of what may have happened upon impact.
The investigation is expected to be lengthy, but they plan to release a preliminary report in 30 days. On Up with KREM, we bring you more to every story. This morning, we looked into what aviation experts are saying. One who spoke with our Seattle station says all signs point to both aircrafts being in communication with air traffic control leading up to this crash. He also pointed out while many people jump to the conclusion of a piloting error, instead there's likely several contributing factors.
There's also a lot of increased visibility now into kind of the inner workings of some of the major manufacturers. And so I think the public is taking an interest in how are our planes made and what type of governmental oversight do we have over that manufacturer. So I think people are paying attention to that now too.
Even though there's a commercial plane and military aircraft involved, experts say they would likely be following the same air traffic control communication. And in our next half hour, we take a look at the names of the people who lost their lives in this crash. At 6:32, how our local community is reacting. A Spokane man accused of shooting and killing a teenager in Hilliard last week is in a Montana jail without bond. Yesterday, Glenn Berkey faced a judge for the very first time on a murder charge. Berkey is accused of shooting 5 times through a home's back door, killing 13-year-old Gavin Looper as he was playing video games in a bedroom. On Wednesday, a SWAT team arrested Berkey near a Missoula apartment complex about 200 miles from Spokane. Now, the process of bringing him back to Spokane has started, and he's not fighting extradition.
Remain in custody and wait for a governor's warrant.
I'd like to waive extradition.
Berkey faces 3 felonies out of Spokane County, including second-degree murder. KREM 2 learned Berkey was under community supervision from Washington's Department of Corrections when the shooting happened. Right now, records show Berkey is still in the Missoula County Jail. Happening this weekend, Washington's oldest black church will be celebrating 135 years in Washington state. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones joins us now from the newsroom this morning. Brandon, what can you tell us about Calvary Baptist? This is a major milestone for them.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Good morning, Tim. And there's history all around us. And way back in the year 1890, black settlers in Spokane, they came together with the goal of creating a safe, inviting space to practice their faith. That was the beginning of Calvary Baptist Church. The founders held their first service only a few months after Washington became an official state. 2 centuries later, the church still opens their doors every Sunday with members coming from all walks of life.
But the celebration is about what God has done for that church in 135 years. You know, it says, "On this rock I'll build my church," and that's what he did.
Well, Calvary is inviting anyone interested in celebrating 135 years with them down to the church this Sunday. The congregation will have a special service at 3 p.m. One other note to note about Calvary, Reverend Dr. C.W. Andrew Sr. has led the congregation for 50 plus years and through health battles still participates as much as he can. So from the 19th century all the way to the year 2025, Calvary has been going strong here in Spokane for 135 years. Live in the newsroom, I'm Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
6:07, another look at our weather forecast where our temperatures are just now starting to increase by a degree or two across Spokane County. We're at 35 at the airport, but even though we are seeing 32 degrees being reported between Spokane Valley and Whitworth, it's all rain around the Spokane Valley metro. You really got to go up to Deer Park to find some heavier snowfall, where it is 31 degrees. That 1 or 2 degrees is making the biggest difference at the moment. So the rain is starting to take over most of Spokane County right now, but it will remain as snow, especially in our northern areas. We are thinking areas like Deer Park, Spirit Lake, and northward are going to end up with the most snow overall. And that is just through the morning hours. In the afternoon, temperatures climb into the mid-30s. So if you are seeing any snow this morning, it's probably just going to melt along with the rain by the afternoon.